The second day of our trek to Machu Picchu via the Ancascocha Trail took us from the first campsite, which was around 4,000 metres above sea level, up to the highest point of the trek, around 4,600 metres above sea level, and then down to our second camp in Ancascocha, just below 4,000 metres above sea level. It was another early start. We were woken with cocoa leaf tea and given a bowl with warm water to wash and clean our teeth. Then it was time for breakfast and to get our stuff packed up and start our second day of hiking. The group started with some stretches, however we were a bit late getting our stuff together, so we didn't take part. Whoops. It was then time to get sun creamed up and top up our water whilst the team pulled the tents down. We started the hike early, and today I would say was the hardest day, as it was several hours uphill and the altitude was the highest that we'd experienced at this point, as we were hiking up to 4,600 metres, the highest point of the trek. The scenery was absolutely beautiful and we had lots of breaks which were well needed.
But Simon Bolivar hated Peru because we got Lima. And Lima was representing the crown of Spain in South America. And Simon Bolivar became to me the worst enemy.
This was a part where I really struggled, as I was finding it hard to catch my breath. There was an incline up through a farm followed by a steeper hill, and I just had to stop every couple of metres. The incline wasn't really that steep, but with the altitude it honestly felt impossible. The guides could tell I was struggling as I was near the back of the group, and one of them wanted me to get on the horse to go to the next part. I refused though, as I was determined to do it. I finally made it up to the steeper part and we had a bit of a rest and some pictures, but I knew it was only going to get harder. We continued walking uphill and others in the group were starting to struggle as well. I think the frustration came from the fact that you knew back home it would be no problem, but the altitude made it feel like wading through treacle. It really slowed you down. We were at one point picking rocks to walk to, walking a few metres to them and then stopping. It was crazy. The views were really beautiful though, and we all knew this was the hardest part of the whole trek.
It's not Laura's, was it?
This point here was the hardest and steepest of the day, and we both really struggled here and thought, what are we doing? The views were stunning though, and we were very lucky with the weather. When we finally made it to the top, it was a huge relief as we knew the rest of the day was downhill. We had a very special religious ceremony at the top of the mountain, which was lovely to be part of.
2, now it's 1. Yesterday, we are so lucky. That is life. That is part of our Andean adventure. That is part of the Andean religion. Okay, please. In the life, or in my life as well, always I wanna say thank you for our life, because we survived the COVID, many different problems. You know, we are so lucky, we are privileged life here. We have privileged life here. Because we are breathing here. We are enjoying the view. Because many people in every countries, in every places, you know, they have found some problems. They're in the hospitals with cancer, diabetics, many different problems. 9 years ago, my son died with cancer as well. My older son. That's the reason, yes, every year in my every group, I like say thank you, because we survived the COVID as well. Thank you to my group, thank you to my job. I can arrive here again, because that is part of my life on the top of the mountain. Because here in this Tricocalypse, we will leave our offering. Because this Tricocalypse, the name is Quinto. In this Quinto, we will live our wish. I think so in our life, we have wishes about family, about your healthy life, about the job, about the friends, about everybody. You know, we are so lucky here. Look at the nice weather. Yesterday I told you, tonight we will have rain. We had rain. That was nice for sleeping. That was nice for relaxing life. Next day, it's nice view. Always. During the night raining, next day is beautiful. After here is easy way. We can rolling down. Just in the bottom is our lunch. But we are so lucky here. That's the reason, please. I understand very well everybody. You know, they have probably different kind of religions. But we are on the mountain. We are in Peru. We are inside the Inca Empire. Especially in one exclusive, you know, exclusive Inca Trail for Charity Challenge. Thank you for coming to here. Thank you for helping to the people, helping to the us as well. Because you are coming here, we have job. Without you, we don't have job here. It's easy. Thank you for that. That's the reason for me. It's very important in my every groups. I want to leave my offering, my wish, my sacrifice. I think in our life, I told you, we have many wishes. Now I will give you, please, to each the Tricocalypse. After that, we will offer to the mountains, because inside our Andean mentality, Andean philosophy, every mountains from the world is very important for us. We call Apus, the god. The sun is another god. The moon, the stars, you know, the Milky Way. That's very important, because we are living in harmony with the nature here. That's very important. Thank you for understanding that, please. Really help me, please. We are on the mountain. We are so lucky because we saw the condors. How many condors we saw? 5. Probably more than 4. Down there they saw 2, now it's 1. Yesterday, we are so lucky. That is life. That is part of our Andean adventure. That is part of the Andean religion. In the life, or in my life as well, always I want to say thank you for our life, because we survived the COVID, many different problems. Which way is the east? Which way is the east? Ruben, which way is the east?
East.
We were then grateful that the next part of the trek was downhill into the valley, where we would stop for lunch. It felt much easier to breathe going downhill, although it was still tough as it was quite slippy and steep. Trekking poles are a must here and helped a lot to take the pressure off the knees and avoid slipping. We arrived at lunch where tents had been set up for us, and we had more amazing food and time for a well-deserved rest. It was really very beautiful. After lunch, we continued on through the valley, and this was my favourite part of the walk. The scenery was simply stunning. This part of the walk was also mostly flat and downhill, which felt amazing and was very much appreciated after the relentless uphill climb that we had that morning and the previous day. I'd say at this point it was probably the first time where I actually started to enjoy the hike, because it wasn't so relentlessly uphill. It meant that I could actually breathe, I could actually enjoy myself and enjoy the surroundings as well. I'd say the main challenge in the afternoon was trying not to slip and fall into the valley below, as the paths were very narrow here and shingly and quite precarious in places. I was grateful that it wasn't raining, as I imagine it would be very slippy in wet conditions. You can see it. We arrived at Camp 2 after a very long, hard day, and the tents were already put up for us. There was also an outbuilding here that was an old school that we used for our meals instead of a tent. It was a really beautiful campsite. We've arrived at Camp 2. So I've got a sore throat and I've lost my voice, so I can't talk much. So Dan will give an update on how it went today.
Hi. Yeah, I think we both barely slept last night. But at least you were warm.
Very warm.
And then woke up 5:45, set off at around 7:30ish, and then did 4 hours of uphill. I can't remember the exact elevation gain because my Apple Watch died, so I'll have to sort that out.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was, but it was the highest part. So we went from, I don't know, 3,000 odd something to 4,500 meters in elevation. So it was good once we got to the top. Beautiful views. The first bit was just horrid because I couldn't breathe.
I couldn't breathe either. We were struggling to breathe.
Yeah, but then after we got to the top and coming down, no problem. Beautiful walk.
Yeah, I had I'm struggling with the altitude, I think more than others, in terms of just being able to breathe. So like going uphill at home, I'm quite fit and I find it fairly easy. Well, not easy, but I can do it. But here it's literally like 3 steps and I have to stop, and I'm really, really out of breath. Like, I've never experienced anything like that before. So, but tomorrow...
Yeah, tomorrow, from now on, it's all downhill. Up until we get to Machu Picchu and the 3,000 steps.
Yeah.
But for the sake of Louise's voice, I'm going to choose to end it here. But we will update again tomorrow. Camp 2.
So after I made the vlog, we went to check out the toilets, and then Dan made friends with the sweetest dog ever. She was called Princess and was so friendly. We then got ready for afternoon tea, which we had every evening before dinner, and today it was in the old school building, which was really cool. We then got ready for dinner and the temperature really dropped. It was pretty cold at night here. You could see the fog setting in. And that was the end of another successful day. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and watch the next video for day 3 of our trek to Machu Picchu.